Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
And good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world, or the time zone, as one of our WikiTreeers likes to say. Welcome to the WikiTree Challenge reveal for Diahan Southard, who is just joining us as we speak.
Oh my God.
What timing!
Oh my gosh.
That was great timing.
How are you, Diahan?
Well, everything works just fine until you have a deadline, and then things stop working all of a sudden. My monitor is totally blank right here for some reason, but I can still see you and hear you kind of. So As long as you can see me, we're fine.
We can see you.
Technology wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad you're able to make it, because we're thinking, we have to go.
Yes,
it's not nearly as fun to do a reveal
without the person you're revealing to.
Without the person you're revealing to.
I can see that. Yeah.
We've had to do it before, but
yeah, it's kind of boring without the actual person there. But
yeah, I get
here, so that's great.
That's great.
We can get the party started.
We can, yes. So lots of people are saying hi in the chat, and hello to everyone who is there in the chat, and hello to everyone who is watching it after the fact on demand. My name is Greg Clark. I'm a WikiTree member, and I was lucky enough to be the team captain this month for the WikiTree Challenge. Our special guest is Diahan Southard. And along with me are three other WikiTreeers who worked on the challenge. Chris Ferriolo, Lewis Kessler, and Celia Marsh is here. She's here. She joins by audio, and she's muted because she's taking her dogs out, so trying to get them under control. Meanwhile, my doggy here wants more attention from me. Silly thing. But anyways, glad everyone could join us. So glad, Diahan, you were able to figure things out.
Yes, thanks.
And join us. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. There we go. And I'm going to put you right up top there. Okay, so welcome everyone. So if this happens to be your first time with us, this is a WikiTree challenge. It's a challenge that we do every month, and our special guest this month is Diahan Southard. And I'm just reading straight from your bio, Diahan, so I don't mess things up.
Okay.
Diahan Southard is a founder and CEO, genetic genealogy expert, and educator. Knows firsthand what a difference it can make to know where you came from. What started off as an educational and career interest in genetic genealogy became deeply personal when she used DNA to discover her mom's birth parents and connect with new relatives. Now she has over 20 years of genetic genealogy experience. She built her company, Your DNA Guide. Diahan teaches internationally, writes for popular magazines, authored Your DNA Guide, the book, which is on my shelf right over there, and produces Your DNA Guide, the Academy, an online learning experience. And there's lots of other wonderful things I'd love to say about Diahan. She's a wonderful person, one of the funniest, brightest persons I've got to know. Very lucky to have taken courses with her and worked with her on different things, including the upcoming East Coast Genetic Genealogy Conference, where Diahan will be one of our keynote speakers. So stay tuned for that. It happens virtually in September. But you were in on the ground floor of genetic genealogy, weren't you, Diahan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of the recent podcasts by the Barefoot Genealogist with you, that was a wonderful episode. Two of you sharing that, so that was great.
Thank you.
So we're very honored that you were able to be one of our guests this year and took part in the challenge and allowed us to take your tree and expand it out. I'm not sure how many new people, because when you work with other genealogists, you think, well, they know everything and there's nothing new that we'll find for them. But so far, we have been able to surprise people. So hopefully we'll find a few surprises for you.
I think that's guaranteed. So.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's great. So for those who haven't done or haven't taken part in the WikiTree Challenge before, basically every week A team of WikiTree volunteers gets together. Well, actually, it's every month now. And we grow connections for a special guest. And this month it was Diahan Southard. And we try and grow their connections out. And when we say connections, we have a way of counting how people are related to each other. We call it the CC7. It's close connections, and we measure them by degrees. So CC7s would be out 7 degrees. So your first degree connections are your immediate family. So your parents, your siblings, your spouse, and your children. And then your second degree would be the first degrees of those people. So your parents' parents, or your spouse's siblings, or your children's children, and all combinations thereof. So when you get out to 7 degrees, it could be your great grandparents or grandchildren, or it could be your in-laws. So there's lots of, the branches go all over, which is great for WikiTreeers because that gives us lots of room to find new people and new connections. And as we do that, lots of things happen. So one of the things about WikiTree, WikiTree is a collaborative world tree. So instead of everyone having their own tree in their own silo, ideally every person in the world has one profile. And if we shared great grandparents, then there'd be one profile for our great grandfather that we share, and we could each work on that profile, add sources, add information to the biography, and that sort of thing. So when you join WikiTree and you add people, you go to at some point, you probably will come to a point where that ancestor, the next ancestor you're going to add, is already there. And at that point, then you're connected to the world tree, and lots of things happen. So we have a score sheet that shows how you're connected to people. And the other thing that WikiTree allows you to do is any two people who are on WikiTree, we can see how closely they are related to each other, either genealogically related, like through blood, or through connections through marriages. So here, what I'm sharing, and is that large enough? Here's a list of all the previous WikiTree Challenge guest members that we've had over the years. You see my WikiTree colleague, Louis Kessler, is among those. And lots of other names I'm sure that you recognize, Diane, on this list here. One of the neat things that we have in WikiTree, when you get to a group page like this, where it shows lots of people that have something in common, in this case, they're WikiTree Challenge guest stars, there's a little button that says My Connections. And when you click on that, it will go through, and because I'm the one who's logged in, it will show of all those WikiTree Challenge guests, which ones are actually related to me, but as either ancestors or cousins. None of them are my ancestors, but I can tell you that a bunch of them are distant cousins, and then there's some that are just connected through marriages and whatnot. But that's not exciting for you to find out who's related to me. So let's put in Diane's WikiTree ID and change that. And now we can see, look at how many cousins you have in the genealogy community, Diane.
That's so fun. Judy's my closest cousin.
Judy is your closest. Is that what, would you have guessed out of all of those genealogists that she would have been your closest?
No. But I hadn't really given it much thought before. So
you're pretty busy. There's I'm sure there's lots of things you haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah, Amy Johnson Crow, there she's really high there. Randy Seaver, lots of, like, look at Roberta, man. Yeah, you've got lots of genealogically powerful cousins there, and then a bunch of others who haven't quite connected through. Maurice Gleason from Ireland. He was our just recently. He was the May WikiTree Challenge guest. And Louis isn't related to you by blood, but you are connected by 22 degrees.
Well, hello, cousin. Then.
Hello. So here's the score. I need to zoom in here. So there were this time around, there were 52 active WikiTreeers working on your tree for the past week.
That might be a record. It's definitely a seriously impressive number of contributors.
Yes. Yeah, it's over double. I shouldn't say that. It's over double what the average seems to have been recently. So you were very, very
That's
popular.
Great.
Lots of people.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm. So from the, I'm just going to look at my cheat notes here to make sure I get the right numbers here. When we started, you had 164 profiles on the tree, starting yourself and just so the closest connections that had been added. When we ended, you had 2,558. So it was an increase of 2,394, almost 2,400 additional people were connected to you by the end of the profile contest, which is, if it's not the highest, it's one of the highest that we've had in the challenge over history.
Because I didn't have that much to start with, so that was.
Well, I mean, that might have been part of it, but yeah, I think that would have been part of it.
It's also, I mean,
there was a lot of people working, and
there were a lot of people working, and we were very lucky in that most of these connections were in areas where we had people who are actively comfortable working in them, and they have a lot of sources.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're working in, Romanian people who have Romanian descendants or ancestors a couple generations back, and those records are a lot harder to find and a lot less comfortable for everyone. So it's sort of a perfect storm of
I'll take it.
Working well within their comfort zones. Yeah, it's all about the comfort zone, Some people were working well within it. Some people were just a little bit outside their comfort zone, but it all worked out in the end. So
yeah. And that's part of the fun, is that when people join the challenge, they may not know what they're going to be dealing with, what challenges are out there for them. And it's a learning opportunity for us WikiTreeers as well to try and learn about new data sets and investigating.
Stretch out your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, it is helpful. So the MVP was Stu Ward, and he racked up 425 points, added 400 profiles, and then got 25 bounty points. We assign bounty points for making a connection to one of your grandparents or great grandparents. Which is it, Celia? Is it I think it might be the great grandparents. And then at one point, Celia, who is our WikiTree Challenge assistant, picks 8 brick walls that had, and it's usually Sunday night, she picks 8 brick walls that haven't been broken yet on the various lines, and then challenges people to break those. And most of those were broken. Am I correct, Celia?
I believe so. Yeah. Possibly all of them.
It looks like it. So any bounty points in this column that are 40 or more would be someone who broke one of those.
Yeah.
And
the Italian brick walls, obviously. More on that later.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
One of the neat things about the scoreboard here is that we keep track of our distance from the special guest. So in this case, our distance from you, Diane. And so there is the number of connections, how far we are away from you at the very beginning of the challenge is measured. And then at the end, after the week, that is also measured again. So at the top of the list here, and I'm really not so the top, Candy Hawkins is at the top of, and you can see she went from 42 down to 41. So through the week, by either adding new profiles or connecting to previous profiles that already existed on WikiTree, you got 1 degree closer to her, 5 degrees closer to Lizzie. And as you can see, it goes that there's a 15. Now, the person who gained the most was Judy Stutz. She went from being 52 degrees away from you to 22 degrees. So she was, that was a huge change, 30 degrees. I don't know if we've seen that type of difference.
Particularly, I mean, we see that sometimes with like regular connections, like a marriage shaving off 30 degrees, but this was through a common ancestor, which is meant she went from being, like your 22nd cousin to being a 11th cousin or something.
Mm-hmm. And the next best, I'm proud to say, was myself. I benefited. Cousin?
No, I benefited. For sure.
Well, we went from being 24th cousins to as of this was what was it? 11th cousin once removed, I think, or something like that. And then just last night, as I was getting ready for this, I saw there was someone that added a profile in Quebec, and turns out their parents were there. I connected that. Now we're even closer. We're 9th cousins twice removed.
Nice.
So, which is very cool. And you know what's even cooler is that because I'm adopted, I have a profile for my biological self, which is the one I use primarily because I came to WikiTree because I needed a place to put my new family on. But I also created a profile for my adoptive self, with my Clark and McIsaac names. Douglas was my birth last name. But I'm your cousin both ways, adoptive wise and bio.
Perfect. It's meant to be.
So that's kind of a cool little aside, I thought. Okay, so let's see. Let me show you a few other things. So one of the things we at WikiTree we like, and I think you like maps and charts and stuff. So one of the one of the neat things about WikiTree is that we do have apps that are connected with it, and we have volunteer app developers, programmers like myself. And this is one of the apps I created, the 7 Degrees app that shows you how far you are. So this snapshot was taken right at the very beginning of the challenge when you only had 162 connections. And this multicolored chart, the idea is that every ring, every degree has a different color code, and hence the color code up here. And then for degree 1, I color coded it separately. So because you just have a few, it's hard to see that there are different rings there. But that's that's what your connections look like at the very beginning. At the end, trying to fit 2,500 dots makes it look like this. It's more like a placemat or a bead diagram.
Rug.
Yes, that's
It looks
right.
like a throw rug in a 70s basement.
So just visually, you can see how astonishing the growth is.
Yeah.
So we think that's kind of cool.
Kind of hurts my eyes a little bit.
Yeah. I've recently done some updates to that app and given it other options. So instead of just the plain blank anonymous circle, you could actually put either the person's initials or in fact their first name, their names and a lifespan if you wanted to. And so there is the large one with the initials in it, which is totally illegible unless we zoom right in.
It's like a bullseye.
Which you can do on the app, not so
Which you
well.
can do on the app better than in the PDF.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so I want to show, oh my goodness, all of my, let's go like that. So the other thing we have is, here we've got some maps for you. Because in the background, WikiTree has a database that keeps track of all the data. And one of the things you can do is you can make queries on the database and then map the results from the profiles that you found. So this is, I queried the CC7, so the people who are within 7 degrees of you now, after the contest is over. And this is where they are spread throughout the world. And this is actually a migrant map. So when you see the arrows, that's where their birth was at the red dot and their death is at the blue dot. If they didn't move at all, or if they didn't move very much, then the dots will be on top of each other. But you can see you've got a huge cluster in the UK, obviously a huge chunk over in the US, and then you have a few other people outliers around the world. And if we zoom in on your UK, it looks like there's a cluster around, that's Cardiff, right? Wales, I think it looks like. Some around London.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Scotland. And then there is your general US cluster.
It often defaults to the capital if it isn't a
Right. If
thing.
the specific town isn't specified, yeah. So all of these graphics, all of these maps, Azure will email you the links to all of those, so you can download them and view them at your leisure. I decided I'd also do the same set of maps for your two grandparents, just because they would be, it might give a slightly different picture. So there is your Grandpa Hazelwood, his map, and it looks like there's some Denmark there that did not show up in your others. So maybe the Danish connections a little further back then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so there is the European view of his map. And then this is really cool to me. This is your Grandpa Hazelwood's American, like people within 7 degrees of him. And you really can see the progression across America that way.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was the family history. They started from.
Just go right over the Rockies to Seattle.
Yeah. And then Grandpa Ingerson is sort of similar, and he's the one that has the outliers. Look, some more outliers there. Yeah. So it's a sort of a similar picture, but thought those were kind of interesting. So let's see where we're going to go next. Locations. Let's go back to here. We visited a lot of places when we were adding profiles and connecting you to WikiTree. We got to at least 4 provinces in Canada, and we add the place to the location if there's a birth, marriage, or death to it, or at least a birth or death. I know that it's at least a couple of the profiles that I worked on, people briefly went across the border from, I don't know if it was the Dakotas into Manitoba or Alberta or Saskatchewan, but there was no one born or died there, at least in the ones I found, so I couldn't add that province. I really love it when I can get all 10 provinces of Canada in, as you might guess. But Denmark there, of course, England, France, Italy, Japan, couple places and a couple counties of Ireland, Norway. I found some Norwegian people for you. There's Sweden, Wales, of course. We got 31 of the U.S. states covered. And that's now Celia worked really closely, and she was on Discord a lot more regular than I was. So that's why I'm asking her, because she had more of a pulse or finger on the pulse some of the time. Can you think of any locations that we missed and should have added to this list?
I don't think so, though. We usually do a check on WikiTree Plus, and you might not have this time.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to. I was looking after the grandkids this morning, so it was library day, so did not get a chance to do that.
How many states did we get? 31?
31.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
It might not be perfect, but it's definitely a good high-level view.
Yeah. So one of the other things we do is we ask our WikiTreeers to tell us what interesting finds they found out, interesting people, interesting stories. And so we've got some that we are going to share with you. Celia's going to start off, and then Chris and I will take over, and Lewis, and that's what we're going to do for the next little bit. So Celia, who do you want to start with?
Sorry, I'm muted.
Yes.
Let's scroll down a little bit. Well, so there's the witch. Sorry, number 4.
Oh, right.
So we could start with her.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the women accused of witchcraft, and luckily, in the Salem witch trials, did not. It got tidied up around her time.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
thankfully, but she's a great 10th great grandmother. So your 10th great grandmother was accused of being a witch.
Mhm.
Don't know if you'd been Rico.
Did you know about her?
No.
Where is
Nothing proven, but accused. Depends on which way
Yeah.
you want to slant it, really.
There's the connection. There's the lineage down through the Butterfields,
You
Bacon.
want to zoom it up a little?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Is that too small? Oh yeah, it is a little tiny, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry. There we go.
Greg clearly has an enormous monitor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Two of them.
Guilty as charged.
I think he has 3 monitors at this point.
I do, and my iPad is also.
Yeah.
Here, I have to hide all the other PDFs. So there we go. So there's a 10th grade.
The bacon line on there is, I believe, where I'm connected to you.
Okay.
I can't remember what my connection is. I think it's 9th cousin, probably.
Nice.
Your witch cousin.
Your witch cousin. Witch cousins?
Yeah.
But the nice thing about this one is that she got off, right? She was released. Yep. She wasn't actually executed. So
I think she may have actually even have been sort of part of the inciting event for closing it, because she was sort of higher profile socially, and so they shut things down.
I'm only like an hour away from Salem, Mass. I can just go down there and just find out for myself.
Check it out. Yeah. So this is a great example of a WikiTree profile where the people who wrote it, they didn't just put the facts, born, married, died sort of thing. They've actually turned it into prose and just go through all the details. So and it looks like they've also included some documents as well.
You even have a sticker for the witch trials?
Is there
stickers for everything?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you can also do, as Greg was showing earlier, you can look, there should be a category for the witch trials as well.
Okay. Category, Salem witch trials.
Yeah. So you can look and see your connections to the accusers and the accused.
Okay.
Yeah. But we don't just have witch trial. I mean, we don't just have categories for events. We also have categories for towns, which you'll see later.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm being very ominous today. I know. Sorry.
Who else, Celia? Would you like to?
I'm just checking. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to look through this very much beforehand.
Okay, we're doing it live.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, if you
know what? There's an interesting one. Number 20.
Okay. Oh yes, this is neat.
So one of my great whatever cousins did this as well, but this was when they. I remember Anne saying when she was researching this, the marriage record showed up in a very bizarre place. She's looking in Ohio, and suddenly there's a marriage record showing up for, England or something like that. And it was because they had gotten married as they were missionaries, got married in Japan in this case. And it looks like she found the image for the marriage certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that. I do have that.
You've got that one?
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Very cool.
It's always so fun and random. Mine was like, England? Why is this thing from England? And they got married in China as missionaries.
It's a really good example, though, of I learned this relatively recently. Obviously, this is my husband's family, and I don't research them. But it's interesting that, I've known this family for 30 years. Well, 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard the story. This is to me, the flagship story, the one that you tell all the time, right?
Yes.
This is a
Start
really
off
cool story. Yeah. And so to me, it was just another evidence of how there's so much that even our recent ancestors have gone through that we don't know,
Yeah.
that we just haven't bothered to ask about, or they haven't bothered to tell us. Like, this isn't a long time ago. Like, you know, this is my husband's great grandfather, you know. It's like, it's just super interesting how easily details are lost, I guess. So
And also a good thing to every once in a while, a lot of times you get the records that look like they're false positives. Like, how could this possibly be the correct record?
yeah,
This person is in Ohio, and no, it is a correct record.
yep, this really happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have another one, Celia? Or
Well, I didn't have another one picked out, but I mean, as you can see, there's a bunch of them. Everybody's got them linked in, so you can browse at your leisure and
Yeah.
check out interesting finds.
Yeah, and we'll give you the link to this as well if Azure hasn't already done that as well. So Chris did a lot of work on the Italian side.
Oh boy, did we?
of
It
your
wasn't
families.
just me. It wasn't just me though. Oh,
Okay, so take it away, Chris.
Travisella. That was the name of the town, right?
Mhm.
Well, I looked up information on Domenica Franza, who was your adoptive grandmother, right?
My great grandmother. Yeah.
Great-grandmother.
Adoptive great grandmother. Okay, yeah. Anyway, information on the Frances was pretty easy to come by as your tree had pretty solid sources. And I enlisted the aid of my friend and fellow Italy project coordinator, Frank Santoro, as he can find records faster than I can. He has more of a grasp of the Italian language than I do, so I need his help on everything. So Frank and I found a lot of information on family search, and it was more on Antonati because records after 1865 have been transferred over to that website and everything. So we just beefed up the tree as much as we could. And as you know, all the Frances came from a town called Travisella, which is now part of the Italian city of Torino, aka Turin.
Oh, Turin.
So we verified a number of details on the direct line. I added several siblings along the way for Domenica Franza's tree. And in my travels, I found she had an uncle named Bart who immigrated to America and was a miner in Utah. Greg, can you put up that profile for Bart Bartolomeo Franza, please?
Bartolomeo, sure.
Yeah.
I'll just grab that. Yeah. There we go.
Thanks. Wrong part. No, yeah, that's the right one. Yeah, I think so.
Is that the one?
I think so. Yeah, I linked it to you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's the first one you gave me.
Yeah.
Link.
Okay. He immigrated to America and was a miner, and I found his obit and put it in his profile. Interesting to note that he had a brother John mentioned in it, and I'm not sure who John was. I couldn't find him. I couldn't even find Giovanni, which is the Italian version, like John. So, but he may have gone back to Italy, according to the article, and Bart here was also a Freemason, so that was pretty cool. And I also went outside of WikiTree to look up information. So I found this Franza tree on Ancestry. And I asked this lady for help. It turned out her husband was descended from Marino Franza, Domenica's great grandfather. I checked out her tree, and like other Italian genealogists I know, she had a ton of actual documents there. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to send her a message, and ask her some questions, see if she can help me out. And I think she was a little excited because, I don't know, she was excited to find someone to help doing Italian genealogy. I'm like, all right, like, cool. So I asked her some questions, and let's see, she was actually really excited to find out that I was helping a professional genealogist too. So I should probably get you to a meetup or whatever. I'll send you a link or whatever after this. And let's see, it turns out that Marino was a twin, and his twin sister was a lady named Maria Helena Franza. She married a guy named Giovanni Bassana, and lived in Fusako, a town very close to Travisella. And it turned out pretty cool. Yeah, I found a whole bunch of other things too about the Travisella, and it's all on that list, but I just like trying to sum everything up. So we found a lot of information about the Franza extended family.
Mm-hmm.
Like another Franza went to America and died in the pandemic of the 1910s. But sadly, Frank and I couldn't find any collateral relatives on the TV side of Domenica's tree. I know that they're out there though, because if you do like a little search for, let's see, Ermaglida, right? Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Ermengilda. Yeah.
Well, we already said Ermenegilda.
Yeah, if you do like just like a basic search for her, you'll find a whole bunch of information on family search. They might be her siblings or her aunts and uncles or whatever. It really depends. You have to like dig into it. But we added as much as I could. I added a couple siblings here and there for the TV side, but I'm confident they're all in Travisella. They kind of have to be.
There have to be more,
Yeah, they're out there somewhere. Just didn't really have time to really dig through everything. Because it's a lot easier to find the Franzas than it was the TVs for some reason.
Interesting.
And Family Search had a lot of records, and I think most of the other records will be on Antonati eventually. Civic records anyway, but the religious records are going to be on Antonati because they try to keep things, civic and religious separate.
Right.
Yeah. But they're out there. It was a lot of fun looking at stuff in North Italy. I usually research like down in the south, like Calabria and Campania.
Right.
So it's just like, it's interesting to go up north there and see all those records. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is the fan chart, 5-generation fan chart filled out starting from Domenica.
Yes.
Wow. And you already had a chunk of Italians already in your ancestry tree.
Yeah.
Had you gone this far back as well, or are some of these new for you?
Not that far, but I think I have connected with that lady on Ancestry. I've asked her questions before.
You did?
I was working on a genetic connection from my heritage with a match from Torino, actually.
Yeah.
And so I had found her then. At least sounds like the same person. She was like incredibly helpful and had like all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
So
I didn't tell me that.
I'd seen all her tree. I just hadn't added everything into my tree. But yeah, but this is awesome. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, she didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me she talked to you. She was just like,
well, she probably doesn't remember. I mean, like it was several years ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Okay. Well, I'm going to share now the family that I dived into and added to when I found out someone had crossed the border into Canada. I decided I would.
And it became important to you.
And no, it's just that I knew in between babysitting, with a little time I had, I could actually focus and make some productive results. So it's not that you're important all the time, Diane.
Oh, thank you. Good.
And all of your relatives as well.
Okay.
But so I just gotta find the right. There we go. Here we are. So the person who's at the center of this interesting find, this story, is Janet Cameron White, who was married to your great uncle Arthur Dunn Inverson. Let me just check. How many greats is it? No, that's not the one. What do I have here? Well, you know what? I could just.
Very great.
How would I just go make it easier and say connection and show everyone? So when you're on anyone's profile, actually, and you want to see how you're connected, if you know they're related, you can just go down to relationship to me. But I know that Janet is an in-law of Diane, so I'm going to go to connection to me. And by default, it's going to use my connection. So I'm 18 degrees away from Janet, but I'm going to change my WikiTree ID out for Diane's, Hazelwood 139. And there it is. So it looks like your great grand uncle's wife. Okay.
Okay,
Makes sense?
got it.
Yeah. So your great grandfather, Ralph, his brother's wife or his sister.
So just FYI, their descendants would be my third cousins. So that's
Of course.
my teenage cousins. We'd share like 62 centimorgans.
There we go.
Huh.
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent. So Janet was his wife. Now, actually, it turns out to be she was his second wife, and we'll get to that. But she was born in Peterborough, Ontario, which is really only about an hour and a half, a little bit more than an hour and a half drive away from me. So she really is actually really close where she grew up. She grew up on a farm, 1884, just outside of Peterborough, a little rural area called Belmont Township. Sometimes it's called Havelock. I think the town of Havelock is in Belmont Township, and they're part of that. She has 7 siblings that she grew up with on this farm, and she has there is a family photo of her. So she is this one right here. There's young Janet, her younger sister Isabella, and some of her older brothers, and then some younger brothers. And I think her mother passed away in 1899, and Isabella was born in Janet was born in 1884, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, 1884. Her younger brothers here were born in, let's see, where are they? Archie, born 1891. So I don't know. It's got to be close to the end of the 90s, anyways. I would say this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the family picture that she grew up with, and she had I would say she had I think resilient would be the word that I would use to describe this lady, because she went through a lot in her life. She was married 3 times. And so in her biography, I've included census tables because I always found those interesting. Now, some people like to put the census tables at the end among the sources. They just want the prose. Other people intersperse them, and I sort of mixed up a bit. But as I was building the story and trying to figure out who was who and keep track of everything, I kept them in the body of the bio. We can always move those around if we want later on. But anyways, her mother died when she was only she was what 14, 15 at the time. 1901. Her father was widowed. So she, chapter 1. Oh, I heard an echo there, but for a sec. Her first husband, William George Toms, was also from Ontario. They got married in Peterborough, and he worked in Toronto. He did odd jobs, and he worked in Toronto on a train as a fireman. Unfortunately, there was an accident, and he was crushed, which is tragic. In fact, it was such a big deal it made the newspapers that day. The accident happened on the morning of March the 3rd, and later that day, the Toronto Star had a huge article just about the plane crash. One engineer was able to jump away as the train was crashing. The tracks had gotten icy, and the train slipped off the tracks and rolled down an embankment. Sadly, one engineer amazingly jumped and only had a few bruises, but the other 2 were not nearly as.
Body badly mangled. I like that. It's a good one.
Well, later on it says actually crushed almost beyond recognition, which like it's just it sounded like the whole thing just. Yeah. But some WikiTrees are a little macabre, and they look for things like this. They look for train accidents. So if that's you got one. You got at least one train accident in your list. But the sad thing, and this is a theme that will come back. He just had a baby girl. They had a baby girl together. Eleanor had been born just the year before. So now this woman just lost her husband in a tragic accident and has this 1-year-old to take care of. The next few records that we find for Janet, she is actually crossing the border with one of her brothers. So it looks like one of her brothers sort of took her in, and they actually traveled westward. And then later on, she's in Vancouver, she's in British Columbia. And then she meets up with her second husband, who is Sigvard Amandus Larsen from Norway. Northern Norway, actually, Troms, Norway. And he himself didn't have an easy life. His mother died when he was very young. And they were fostered out by the time he was born in 1885. And by the census 6 years later, 1891, he was already fostered out at someone's home because his mother died 4 years. His mother died when he was 2, and the father, I guess, couldn't handle it and fostered out all of him and his siblings. He came to America in 1907. He married Frances Hay, and together they had 2 boys, Harry and Stanley. Frances died in 1918. Now, the death certificate doesn't say the cause, but 1918 was the year of the big pandemic, right? So it could have been that. I don't know for sure, but she was only, I think she was only 36 or 33 when she died. So that would be my guess, but it'd be nice to find a record that would substantiate that. He had moved to Vancouver. He owned his own business, the welding shop. And it was doing well enough that he put ads in the paper once a week. There was even an ad in the paper, or an article in the paper about his portable welding shop. So the business that he operated actually he was able to bring it, and move around the province. And it was the only portable welding shop at the time. So that was a big deal at the time. So that was very inventive and creative on his part. He and Janet got married in June of 1920. And the weekly ads kept on going until March 31st, 1921 was the last ad that was in the paper for his shop. And the next record we find 2 months later, back in Peterborough area, Havelock, where Janet grew up. And he's died from tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. So filling in the gaps, he worked up until he couldn't. And then my theory is that Janet took him home to her family, where together they could care for him, nurse him till the end. And as a repeat from the first marriage, they had just had a baby girl, Helen, who was born sometime in 1920, 1921. Canada doesn't release the birth records until they are, I think we have 1 or 2 more years before the 1920 ones get released. So I don't have an exact date, but from the censuses, she was either born at the end of 1920 or the beginning of 1921, because she shows up as 10 years old in the 1931 census. So again, Janet is left with a newborn, an older daughter, a slightly older daughter, but who's still, which she can be a teenager by then. I don't think she's even a teenager. And then potentially 2 stepsons from his first marriage. Then she meets your great uncle Arthur, and they get married in 1922. So she's married to Sigvard, who goes by Sam, in 20. He dies in 21. Then 1 year later, she meets Arthur, who's also recently widowed, and they get married. There's a small little wedding announcement here that it was they were united in marriage. It was a quiet little wedding. Quiet wedding took place. And in the 1931 census shows the family. We'll just zoom down to Arthur. Do I not have it?
Mhm.
Come on. There it is. So here's the snapshot of her life in 1931. She's married with Arthur. They wrote down Albert in the census, but it's definitely Arthur and Janet. And with him and with the family, there's Ruby from his first marriage, Donald from his first marriage, Helen from her second marriage, and then the two of them had two daughters together, Iola and Anna Ray. And then there's Eleanor from her very first marriage, and then a niece.
Wow.
Why not at that point? Why not?
Yeah.
have-
Why not?
Mhm.
So this is basically the extended family. I'll just zoom in a bit. So
Wow.
there's Janet and her three husbands and the children from each of those. So there's Eleanor, who eventually married and had a son. Helen from the second marriage, and I don't know, or the husband might have. I don't have a death record for him, so I didn't add him. And then there's two daughters from the third marriage with Arthur, who would be related or biologically related to you.
Their descendants, Janet's children, they'd be my half-third cousins then.
How much DNA would that be then?
There you go.
And then they're sharing what, like 30 centimorgans or
Yeah.
something.
There you go.
I would still be able to collect them genetically.
Oh, right. Yes. That's right. Through Janet. I love
Janet.
it. Ask the wife.
Mm.
There we go. And then here is Sam's first family. And I could not find any records of Harry or Stanley in any of the Canadian censuses. So my theory is that when he got sick, he sent his sons off to live with family in the States. And definitely in the 1930 US Census, I found both of them living with aunts or uncles.
Mm.
So I presume that that's where they were in 1920, but I couldn't verify that.
Might
And
be
there's-
that Janet just simply could not take care of.
Well, that's just it.
Would it
She had
be
a
like
1-year-old and another young daughter, and how's she going to look after two boys? And like, she'd be beyond. Yeah. So, and then there's there. So all the people who are circled from these. So 1, 2, 3, 4 different family units. Basically, we're all living together in this blended family, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. But sadly, the story ends shortly thereafter, because after the 1931 census, which takes place the beginning of June, generally, October of 1931, she passed away. There's no cause of death mentioned here, because the BC, it's basically just a death index, and I don't have couldn't find an actual death record with filled out with cause of death and stuff, but that is the end. Sorry. Anyways. Lewis, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay. If I may, Diane, if I could go back to 2019, if you remember, you were scheduled to become the keynote speaker at the Manitoba Genealogical Society conference in Winnipeg, where I live. I was going to be a keynote speaker there, not a keynote, speaker there as well. You were the keynote speaker. And I was going to be the one, I was all excited because I was going to be the one to pick you up at the airport and wine and dine you all around the town. But as it turned out, things fell apart in the society. This was the first big conference that the society was putting on, and things didn't go well, and they ended up having to cancel it, I think, by the end of 2019. As it turned out, it was supposed to be in the summer of 2020 anyway, and it would have gotten canceled anyway because of COVID. But that was a point in time where I was very anxious. I was hoping to meet you then and spend some time with you. At any rate, we're here now. And I did a little bit of work on some of your family. I actually was very busy that week, and I wasn't expecting to be able to spend any time looking at your family. And Monday morning, it was raining all day, and a rainy summer day. And I take a look, and Celia had just published the 8 brick walls that are worth bounty points for all the people coming on. And I decided, I'll take a look and see. This was about an hour after she published them, and I looked, and 6 of them were done already. So
I think it was a
what
little
was
more. They
left?
went up like Sunday night, but I think it was Greg's email. Also, when he says I didn't have much time, Greg, would you show the score sheet?
I know. I was like, what? This is, you got second place and you didn't have much time? What in the world would have
I
happened?
didn't get
We were
second
a little
place.
worried about how much he would have done if he'd had more time.
Yeah, for real. Exactly what my thought was. 100%. So, yeah.
Well, I did a few. I did 30. Yeah, I guess I did some.
Sorry.
Well, turned out that the brick wall, the 2 brick walls that were left when I checked, one was this fellow Adam Kepper, who married a cousin of yours. And he was born in 1903 in Washington State. I thought to myself, 1903 in Washington State, how can he be a brick wall? I mean, there's got to be information about him. And I went out, and very quickly, there were lots of ancestry trees that had information about him and his ancestors. And he was at degree 4, so I had degree 5, 6, and 7 to work with, three steps away from him. And by the end of the day, I had about 150 people connected to this Adam Kipper, and that's basically most of the people that I found for you.
Nice.
We taught Lewis how to use the sorcerer to copy profiles, and he's unstoppable now.
That's right.
Yeah, I still have trouble with it though. So whatever.
They give you good tools here at WikiTree to use that make things very easy.
Greg actually created a citation thing for Anthony, which is very helpful.
For the
Mhm.
Italian ranks, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Tuesday, I just did a few of your. I took a look, and some of your ancestors didn't quite go back to 7 degrees. What would that be? Great grandparents.
Mhm.
And so I filled a few of those in, and I got another 40, if 65 people or so on those sides. Those
a
are very
quiet
easy
day.
to do as well, because a lot of your ancestry is here in the United States, and you connect very well in it, and very often we got new connections to the big tree at WikiTree. Your original profiles, which were up here, were not connected to anybody, and I'm sure that through the work, all the researchers connected you in about 50 different ways now to the tree.
Yeah.
So WikiTree is a wonderful resource to find these things, and especially for these collateral relatives. I know as a genealogist myself, I concentrate more on my blood relatives and don't look as much at the spouses and their families. But when you get into it, it's very interesting to see, to learn about the spouses of your cousins, which I had never done before WikiTree. I'll just highlight one interesting find I had was on your Doran side. I think that's your great-great-grandfather. His niece, Anna, married Percy Ball in 1919 in Michigan. And Anna died less than 7 months after they were married.
Oh.
And about 3 years later, Percy then married Anna's younger sister, Alberta. And they had a long life together. They had lots of kids, maybe even as many as 13 kids. And I just thought that was a very interesting story. That was a very big family as well, and they had lots of brothers and sisters, including a brother whose name was Albert, who was fought in World War I and was killed in action. And one of the things we try to do is capture all the military profiles for a guest star here at WikiTree. And so we've got them listed. I do have a question for you. Very interesting, though. Are you familiar with that family?
No.
No, not really. Okay. I just thought it was very odd that they had a daughter named Alberta and a son named Albert.
Hmm.
And they overlapped. It's not as if one was named after the other. So
Yeah.
I actually just noticed that during the course of our reveal right now as I'm
Right.
going through this, and I thought it was interesting. I
Maybe they
didn't
had a nickname
realize
for one of them. Maybe
that
they had a
Albert
nickname.
was
I don't
their brother until just before when I was talking with Greg.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, it's, in my family, on my French Canadian side, there's a bunch of twins, and they are named like that. They're almost all boy-girl twins. So an Albert and Alberta or an Albertine would be typical, because there was a Germain and a Germaine combination.
Okay. I'm not
So
familiar with
it would
that.
make sense if they're twins, but being 11 years apart, I hadn't seen that before.
Before you leave me, I do think it's important to mention to Diane that since she's a DNA expert, or maybe the DNA expert, that WikiTree has a lot of great DNA features. And I personally am not that familiar with them, but if you attach your DNA to your tree, to your profile, you will get a whole bunch of extra little goodies added. And someone who's a DNA expert will have to tell you more about that.
And you can DNA confirm up to third cousins.
Mhm.
And also, Greg has created an app for that citation as well.
There's an app for that. Yes.
Yeah, so Greg has made a lot of apps for WikiTree. He is the app master. The app master, Greg, if you would.
App master.
And the other interesting thing is, just over the last week, there was a big announcement. Family Tree DNA, who has decided to get rid of their own online trees, and a couple of months ago partnered with MyHeritage to get them their people to hook up to their trees. Just this week, they partnered with WikiTree as well. And there's a few announcements, one on the Family Tree DNA site, one on the WikiTree site, about this new collaboration. So everyone now on Family Tree DNA is linking up their WikiTree profile to Family Tree DNA, so that other people who are matches to them can then look up their tree on WikiTree.
Yep, and I just did that myself this morning. I have 3 kits, myself and my parents, and I just kind of sync them all up, so everything's all nice and goes in.
Yeah.
Good. So, yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
Back to you, Greg.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thanks for the lead on about the military. So we also have listed, there are a couple notables that we found that are related to you. Dr. Talbert Slano. And he's actually, so he was a Civil War veteran, and he was elected as the Great Medical Examiner of the Knights of the Modern Maccabees in Port Huron. Have you heard of the Knights of the Modern Maccabees before?
I have not.
Neither have I, but it sounds pretty cool.
Nice.
It does sound very cool. Sounds like they have a cool logo.
I did not know that was a thing.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
So this, the last name Slano seems very interesting, doesn't it? But he actually, his father, Anicet, was added by one of our WikiTreeers right near the end of the challenge, and his last name, his birth last name was actually Geleno de Daniel. So somehow, from being born in Quebec with the last name Geleno, moving to the States, Geleno became Seleno. I don't know. Someone was slurring the words somewhere.
Because last name changes never happen when you come to the United States.
No. But then when I was getting ready for this last night and doing some prep, I thought, oh, well, a Quebec record. Well, I know all about Quebec records. I wonder if I can find his parents. And I did find his original parents, this new person who had been added. So this and turns out they already existed. And that branch of your family now goes back to the founding of Quebec and many to France.
And that's where we actually connect. Hi, cousin.
Yeah, that's right. Back through there.
Yeah.
The other notable is Don Keithley Butterfield, who was a jazz musician as well as a World War II vet. And then we have a few other military profiles that people who have served in the military and either survived or passed away. Brother of, in fact, Janet, the person I was talking about, she had a brother who was killed in action in France during the First World War. And we have a few other things. People kept track of cemeteries, common cemeteries that were kept coming up over and over again with your relatives. We also on WikiTree have place studies and name studies. And we don't have any of those linked here in the free space page, but there probably was some.
Or someone can actually start a one-place study for like for Travesella.
Yeah.
We actually have a category for Travesella, and somebody could theoretically go in and make a Travesella one-place study, and that category has a lot of profiles in it, so it should be good to go. That. So
that's a quick overview of some of the things we found, and I don't know if do you have any questions? Anything you'd like us to show you, or?
It was all super fascinating. I'm excited to kind of dive in and look through all the things that you found, and this has been super amazing. I'm feeling like overwhelmingly grateful. That's how I feel.
Oh, well, that's great.
Well, we can help you out.
We're very glad to help you out, and we appreciate you coming on and being our guest and allowing us to explore your relatives and ancestors and their in-laws and in-laws and in-laws, all those different connections. Very interesting stories, and I hope you enjoy it. We certainly, the WikiTree community, really enjoyed working on that. So thank you very much.
Great.
Before I let everyone go, I should let you know that the next WikiTree challenge actually in July will come up, and the sign up for that is already available in the G2G forum, the genealogist to genealogist forum. And my friend Chris, which direction am I pointing?
You had it right the first time. You had it right the first time.
Chris is going to be the captain for that challenge. So good luck for that. It's Catherine Wilson. And then later in July, the next week, I believe it is the July Connect-a-thon. So that is a weekend-long event that people can sign up for. You can join any team. And the challenge is just to connect, just to add new people to the tree. So people could continue working on Diane's tree, or you can work on anyone's tree and just add more people to it. And it makes the tree healthier and connects us all, which is all the point.
July is going to be very busy for Chris. Yes, I'm also a captain of one of the Thon teams. So,
that's right. You're Team Italy captain, aren't you? Yes. That's right.
Awesome.
So thank you, Louis, for coming and joining us and helping out. I'd also like to thank Celia, who joined us, but apparently she has to go to work, so she had to drop off. I know.
That's okay, but
sometimes
we're here.
Sometimes that gets in the way. Anyways, thanks to everyone who was here and for watching us live, and those who are watching after the facts. Thanks again, Diane. It has been wonderful. You have a great day, and everyone,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you around.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.